not very much at that time happening in the cities. But by about 2000, you're beginning to see a number of Chinese intellectuals, mostly from a cultural perspective only, not really interested in the spiritual side of things, but a number of intellectuals interested in Christianity as a kind of phenomenon. And so, starting probably in the late 90s, several Chinese universities began to start institutes of the study of religion, even institutes for Christian theology, if you can believe that. How many state universities in the United States would do something like that? But anyway, and from what started as a university movement, you began to get the growth of a number of urban professionals who wanted to attend church. And so these urban professionals didn't want to go to the government-sponsored church because they didn't want to hear politicized sermons, and they didn't want clergy who had been appointed merely because they were considered politically reliable by the Communist Party. So they wanted their own clergy to lead them. And these new churches have sprung up all over major cities in China, particularly in Beijing. They're under huge pressure. Whenever a large enough number of people meet, obviously they can't meet in private homes anymore, so they want to rent an auditorium or somewhere that's large enough to absorb, to contain all the people, and then often as not, the authorities come to the landlord, put tremendous pressure on them to cancel the lease, and so these poor urban house church members are left literally sort of milling around in the park in freezing cold winter weather. But one of the developments of Christianity in China is that as China has developed a legal system capable of dealing with contract law and other things, many Chinese lawyers have taken up the issue of getting permission for church groups to rent property and representing clergy who are detained and questioned, and really standing up for them. And many of these human rights lawyers are actually Christian. Some of them have suffered terribly at the hands of the authorities for their pains. But what you're beginning to see is the seepage into many parts of intellectual and professional culture of a series of values where freedom of conscience and freedom of belief and freedom of worship is regarded as a very high priority. Now, this is not true in any previous period in Chinese history.